Time to talk Dallas Cowboys football, and you know what that means. Mickey Spagnola is here. And Mickey, from the last time I talked to you, I think the Cowboys are still scoring touchdowns right now. That Indianapolis game, fourth quarter, it went nuts.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what happens when you're not shooting yourself in the foot like they did the majority of that first half, handing the Colts like 13 gift points in my estimation. So they got back to playing their brand of football, got consistent on offense, cut out the turnovers, cut out the mistakes, and just played the way they know they can play, and they end up scoring points. And it certainly helps when the defense in the last quarter is handing you 4 takeaways. And again, I think once the defense settled in also and not give up a big play like they did on the one touchdown, it was ended up being set up by a 45-yard completion, then I think you saw the better team come to light in that fourth quarter with all those takeaways.
And the good just keeps going, getting good, right, for the Cowboys as far as Tyron Smith. It looks like he's back in the fold and probably be ready to play a couple of weeks or so, or maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, I think it'll still be a couple of weeks. Definitely not this week. Mike McCarthy had pointed out early in the week that he wants to see him in a couple padded practices. They have no padded practices scheduled for this week. And then the next 2 weeks, you only get one a week by the CBA rules. So that would take you through the Philadelphia game. So at the soonest, Christmas Eve against Philadelphia, but more likely against Tennessee the following Thursday night.
And all this Odell Beckham Jr. talk, and it's still going on. Where are the Cowboys with that right now?
Yeah, I think that they're kind of content where they're at. I think they've kind of discerned that Odell Beckham Jr. is not ready to practice. If he's not ready to practice, then he's not ready to play. As a matter of fact, Micah Parsons said when they went to the Mavericks game that night, he said that Odell took him, he was still probably 5 weeks away from being able to practice. Well, if that's the case, if you're 5 weeks away from practicing, then you're another 2 to 3 weeks away from actually playing in a game. Well, do the math on that. There's only 5 weeks left in the season, and if it's 7 weeks, that's 2 weeks into the playoffs. So I think the Cowboys will just kind of hold things steady right now, and maybe something happens for next year. But it looks like at this time this year, it's a moot point.
Houston Texans up next, and the Texans are, with, I believe 7 straight losses or something like that, and that's a team that's kind of looking for some hope. How do the Cowboys approach this type of game? Because you can't go in thinking like these guys are down and we could just do a cakewalk.
Yeah, I think you certainly, if you're in the locker room or you're the coaches in a meeting room, you don't emphasize that they've lost 7 straight, and you're right about that. You emphasize that they're an NFL team with NFL players, and if you don't go in and handle your own business, you leave yourself susceptible to losing. So I think this game is about the Cowboys. They got to take care of their business, continue to try and improve, and get it through their heads that they haven't accomplished anything. It's not like they've clinched a playoff spot, which they haven't. It's not like, that they can have a slip-up and still win the NFC East, because if that happens, they're not going to have a chance to catch the Eagles. And you've got to continue to get better so that when that Eagle game comes along in a couple weeks, right before Christmas, you're playing the best football that you can play. So I think the veterans know this, and I think they had to hammer that home maybe to some of the younger guys to not think, well, this is just the lark. We're playing a team that's only won one game and tied one game, and this will be easy. The NFL, for some reason, when you think it's easy, it gets harder.
And with that said, what do you see for this week?
Yeah, I think that just like the Colts game, the Cowboys are the better team. They certainly should win, but I think it's up to them to decide by how much. I see where the Cowboys are 17-point favorites. That's probably about right. But again, you got to play efficiently. You got to play consistent ball for 4 quarters to be able to achieve wins like that in the NFL.
All right, always a pleasure. He's Mickey Spagnola. Thanks for coming on, Mick.
All right, Van, good to be with you.
All right, we'll see what happens. Cowboys, Houston Texans coming up, in Texans' 7-game losing streak. Until next week, we'll see you later.